Welcome back to the Always Better Than Yesterday interview sessions. And we have a doctor in the house. How are you, my friend? Good to have you here.
Hello, thank you for having me. Looking forward to chatting.
Amazing, amazing. I'd love to know a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and how you show up in the world at the moment.
Awesome, yeah. So I am a doctor, a medical doctor. I graduated in 2011, worked for about 4 years full time on the kind of NHS conveyor belt before I realized this wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. For various reasons,
Hmm.
the system wasn't doing what I wanted for patients. It wasn't doing what I wanted for me. So I left, started working as a health and nutrition coach. And then over the last 5 years, I've been slowly transitioning. I was doing a little bit of medicine on the side. And last year I gave it up entirely to go full-time nutrition coaching, various other entrepreneurial ventures while traveling the world and, living life essentially, which was exactly what I intended to do. So it turned out
Yeah,
pretty well.
I love that. There's a whole story and amongst that little story, and I just love to know, some of the entrepreneurial stuff. Like, what gave you the courage to kind of pursue some of that stuff?
So initially it was definitely, I knew what I didn't want as opposed to what I definitely wanted. I knew I wanted to be out of working full time, being told what to
Mm.
do. But to be honest, not being able to train at 2 p.m. It's like my prime time to go to the gym. So I was like getting frustrated. So I knew I didn't want that. So I left. And to be fair, I didn't do the whole burn the bridges, leave the job, have to succeed within a set period or kind of go back. As I said, I worked as a locum doctor for, literally until last year. So that was always a fallback for me. That was always regular income. I never had to worry. I was never spending crazy amounts. I didn't have loads of outgoings. So in that regard, I had the safety net. And then over time, my business built up, and thankfully so, because I failed at so many things and it took a long time to get going. But then once it caught, COVID accelerated the situation, to be honest. And it was just like, right, it's make or break now. I need to make a decision. So I did. And it's been freaking awesome, but I don't want it to be like overnight success,
Yeah, 100%.
change my life overnight. No, it's been 5 years.
Yeah. Why did you pursue being a doctor in the first place?
So at 16, my dad said, you should be a doctor. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
I, I
And off you
like,
went.
I like science. I was good at passing exams. I like people, helping
Yeah.
people. So it was a no brainer as a 16-year-old. My dad's a
Yep.
doctor, lots of doctors in my family.
Yep.
It seemed like an easy option. So, it's not the most honorable reason, but I think surprisingly common, to be honest.
Mm. What has becoming a doctor given you?
So a lot of people interestingly ask me, do you regret wasting all that time,
Hmm.
6 years in university, 4, 5, 6 years working as a doctor, whatever it was in total. And I don't regret it in the slightest. It's given me so much. And to be perfectly honest, during university, I was doing the standard university stuff, drinking,
Mm.
uh, doing whatever. So the fact that I picked up a medical degree during that time is awesome. And it's also, in terms of my nutrition coaching and health coaching, it gives me a
Mm.
load of authority. So works really well in that regard. But beyond that, that's superficial. Beyond that, the the people skills, the communicating and empathizing and interacting and building rapport with other human beings has come entirely from medicine. You can learn how to do it from books and stuff, but spending, years talking to patients, interacting with patients about, life and death, literally, just takes it to the next level. And I can see that in my coaching. So I'm eternally grateful for that opportunity. And that's been life changing for me for sure.
Yeah, you talked about travel, entrepreneurial, and I just it sounds great, sounds but I know that with anything like that comes sacrifice, and I'd just love to know some of the sacrifices that you've had to make along the way.
Yeah, so the travel started in 2018. I started traveling. I I think I was out of the country every single month for the whole year. It was one of my goals for 2018. Some of them were short trips. Some of them were longer, further afield. But so that was when it started. And then from, 2018, end of 2018, 2019, it was kind of 6 to 8 months away in Southeast Asia, Bali, Thailand, that kind of thing, which was, again, life-changing, absolutely amazing. But it's a choice, right? It's a different lifestyle. You can either have a home set up, friends and family around, a dog, and that kind of thing, or you can live out of a backpack.
You've been looking at my profile.
There's the other extreme. You can, live out of a backpack. The internet could be dodgy. You could lose your passport, and then you're having to deal with crap in a different country. So
choices, right?
It's choices entirely. And actually, since COVID, we've been grounded. We got back from Malaysia in May as soon as the initial lockdowns finished, and we live in Lisbon. And actually, it's been bliss being in Lisbon for, I don't know how long it's been now, 4 or 5 months. And, we've bought a TV, and I have a monitor now. And these are things which are really, really nice. So it's choice. And, sacrifice is also a choice. So I don't know, is it sacrifice, or is it you're choosing something better? I don't know. It doesn't feel like a sacrifice to me. It just feels like a choice.
Yeah, I love that. You left a stable, well-paid profession. There are a number of people that will be listening to that now in similar situations. How difficult was it for you to leave?
It was. So yeah, it was easy to leave because when I started, it was easy to get back in. And I engineered it in such a way that, I was doing a gap year from being a full-time doctor, and I still worked in A&E as a locum. So I was still in the game, and I could at any point pretty much have gone back in and said, okay, I retreat with my tail between my legs. But, as time progressed and everything else started to get established, I gained more and more confidence, and it became easier to not go back. And then 2018 was a tipping point where I had almost maximum freedom in medicine. I was doing literally what I wanted to, being paid very well to do it. And at that point, I had to make the decision whether I wanted to, continue along my path and become a fully fledged entrepreneur and fully not a doctor, or stay in this super comfy middle ground where I was picking what I wanted to, training at 2 p.m., being paid really well, traveling a load. And that was probably the more difficult decision, being like, okay, I'm comfortable now, but I know there's better things in the future, and that's actually what I want. So I think, this is a cliche quote, but comfort is kind of the killer of dreams. It's very easy to kind of say, oh, actually, this is okay. I don't want to risk this. But so, yeah, that was the more difficult decision. And to be honest, the risk paid off 1,000,000 times over. And this is only just the beginning. So, yeah.
I love that. What's at the heart and the mind of your nutrition coaching? What is your mantra? What is your framework? What do you work with?
Yeah. So fundamentally, the biggest gap in nutrition out there in the kind of in the world, in the industry, is long-term sustainability. Every program out there will preach drop 20 pounds, get shredded quick. And even the kind of the more moderate, sensible ones, they only care while you're losing the weight. Once you've lost the weight, you've got your before and after, they're like, great, you're done, off you go. Whereas for me, the weight loss is the easy part. Everyone's lost weight. Everyone's dropped carbs, or, done a exercise boot camp or something and dropped the weight. Very few people sustain it. So from the start, from the first call, I'm integrating long-term sustainability. And I kind of really encourage people to stay on after they hit the goal. The initial process is the weight loss. The second process is learning how to live life again with your new weight, establishing the new normal. And once you've done those two sections separately, then you're free to go. And I never want to see you again. Right? So it's the before, it's the after, and then it's the after. And once you've completed that, literally we're done. But that's what a lot of people, because it's not sexy, it's boring. It's like, let's learn how to just not change our weight, just be normal. And it's like, no, this is the absolutely fundamental part, long-term sustainability. And a lot of people preach it. They say, yeah, it needs to be sustainable. but very few people actually integrate it actively into the process and make it a fundamental part of what they do.
What are some of the core foundational habits you help people build?
I mean, so it's all based ultimately on nutrition and exercise. Those are the big, foundations of the pyramid. There's stress control and sleep and all these other things. They're a bit more hard to implement consistently. So nutrition and exercise are the most important things. And with nutrition, you need to learn about the food you're eating and how it has an effect on your body. So, just being more present and being more aware of what you're eating is one step. Anything is allowed, nothing is off bounds. But if you're eating a pizza because you enjoy pizza, then make sure you sit down and enjoy the pizza. Make sure you're not, on Facebook while you're just smashing a whole pizza. Like, sit down, enjoy it. And then when you're full, stop. If that's 2 slices, great. If that's the whole pizza, great. But make sure you're enjoying every bite. And then with exercise, you don't need to do anything particular, but you do need to move. As humans, we're built to move. When we don't move, we get ill, we get pain. It's not good for us. So you need to move in some shape or form, whether that's walking, swimming, training in the gym, Zumba, whatever the hell, you need to do something. So those are the kind of 2 core principles. And then you can go to the moon and back beyond that in terms of optimization and whatever else. But these are the 2 fundamentals.
Love that. What's your perspective on healthy body, healthy mind?
They are entirely interrelated. I mean, even on a very kind of superficial sense, when you're stressed, you start to look worse. You start to make poorer food choices. Your sleep gets interrupted. And that's all mental. I mean, stress is perception entirely. What someone finds stressful, someone else might not even bat an eyelid at. So that's 100% mental, having a significant effect on your body. So you have to work on them together. Now, I take the other approach because telling someone to be less stressed or reduce stress is very, very difficult. So by changing practical, real world things like eating better, like exercising, like going to bed earlier, you will improve how you perceive and modulate stress. So that's the direction I go because it's easier to implement. But there's always this kind of undercurrent of, look, you need to look after the stress, controlling stress, and actually your perception of the world is a top priority. Because if you don't, even if you've got a 6-pack and, can bench press 400 pounds, it won't make you happy. It won't make you content. It won't reduce stress in life. So you need to work on both.
Yeah. What stresses you out?
When I can't train at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And actually I've spent the last two and a half years, so maybe not stressed, but I definitely don't like winter. It really, really upsets me, especially in the UK where it just is grey and wet. So hence we've been kind of avoiding it. And now we're actually having to spend the winter in Europe, which, I mean, it's Lisbon. It's not too bad. But today, for example, it's raining and it's like the first time it's rained since we arrived. So that's a bit depressing. In terms of real stress, I mean, I'm such a big believer that stress is it's internal. It's a kind of a projection of your perception of things. So you can really, really moderate it massively. And when you're stressed, it's something that you're creating. So you can kind of work it out. So I don't know that, I mean, things stress me out when business is going crazy. That's stressful, but things which are kind of more kind of common and underlying, I definitely prioritize working on them to remove them entirely, because stress can be a negative in life in general.
Yeah, I think I remember a Jose Mourinho quote saying that stress is young children in Africa trying to feed themselves. There is no stress in football, and I think that that's just a huge tip of the hat to what you said around the mental regulation of the way that you process things.
I mean, as an example, working in A&E, we're dealing with cardiac arrests, we're dealing with car crashes, and to be perfectly honest, I didn't find that stressful. That put me into flow state and we just got it done. And when you're dealing with stuff like that, how can you get stressed about waiting in a queue or, like pointless life things? It's truly like perspective, right? So yes, I mean, things get stressful, but also that stress for me is totally I choose to grow my business rapidly. That causes stress. Is it a bad stress or is it a positive stress that I'm putting on myself to help me grow and improve. So again, yes, it's stress, but I could choose not to do it. So yeah, I mean, as you say, your quote sums it up perfectly.
You've really made me think about because when I first joined the police back in 2008, I was a 999 call handler and an emergency dispatcher. And you're right, when it hits the fan, it's almost just like you're in the like you just plugged in, and I'd have to listen to 3 or 4 different radio channels and would know where all the. You're right, there was this sense of flow state. I just love to know what are some of the things that the ER room has really kind of transcended the workplace for you, and that you've taken with you.
So I loved working in A&E, and I worked almost exclusively night shifts because there was less bureaucracy, less politics. It was just, 4 doctors and,
Sure.
The nursing team and the world. We all started at kind of in the evening. We all finished in the morning. It was one shift, one team. It was really, really nice. I mean, obviously horrible for your health,
Sure.
sleeping in the day and stuff, but it was awesome. And I really enjoyed it. I didn't like the system, which is why I left, but the actual work was super interesting. I mean, these are all like cliche things, but like, it was like a family. I learned a hell of a lot about leadership, a hell of a lot about, managing humans, managing people, managing stress. I mean, that time in A&E, I don't regret it. Yeah, I didn't regret it in the slightest. It made me like truly who I am.
Who is that?
Sorry?
Who is that?
Who is what? Sorry.
You said made you who you truly are, and I said, who
Oh,
is that? I only do deep questions, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I was like, who? I'm sorry, who?
It's a deep question for 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah, who is that? I don't even know how to describe that. Who am I? That's a bit of a very simple but also very, very deep question. I'll have to come back to that. I don't know how to answer that right now.
Yeah, I like that. I like that reaction. So you said earlier that 6-packs don't make you happy, but you have a 6-pack. So what makes you happy?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, you know what? The beauty is, I've done the 6-pack thing, and I was like, okay, that was great. That was fun. But I also used to be 142 kilos, like 320 pounds or something. I was honestly equally happy then, like morbidly obese, but equally happy. So I've had both ends, and I was like, okay, well, this isn't the fundamental key to happiness. And you know what? Like stress, happiness is entirely within, like in the purest form. You could sit on a mountaintop and be happy. And this is kind of the whole monk kind of Zen end of the spectrum. And that's a nice theoretical pinnacle to have, but you can then also bring things in real life. And to me, things that make me happier, being healthy and doing healthy things, exploring, having adventures. I recently got a 1-wheel electric skateboard thing. It makes me very, very happy. Awesome bit of kit. And then apart from that, freedom and growth. Those are my kind of 3 core values, and I aim to follow those every day. So when I'm learning something new, when I'm building something, when I'm free to do what I want, I'm content. I'm in a very happy place. So my life is that at the moment, because that's what I tried to build, was the freedom to pursue these things that make me happy.
So your business is a lot about helping others with their growth. Like, what do you do for yourself for your own growth?
So yeah, I mean, growth, as I said, is one of my absolute core values. So I'm constantly learning new things, and I'm having to learn new things for the business, because I'm not naturally a business person or entrepreneur. I'm a scientist, I'm a doctor,
I hear you.
Opposite ends of the spectrum. So I'm rapidly learning about sales, marketing, operations, all this kind of stuff. Super, super interesting. But then I also really like learning about different topics that aren't related in the slightest: crypto, programming, Portuguese, things that are learning almost for the sake of learning about them. I love reading books. I read 104 books last year as a kind of stupid challenge. 2 a week. I don't recommend it, but it was like literally mind blowing. It was awesome. And then meeting interesting and new people. And that was one of the reasons I started traveling, because I was like, why should I be limited to kind of the people in my geography? Like, why don't I go and find cool people to hang out with? Because, there's that cheesy quote about, you're the average of the 5 people you spend most
Yeah.
time with. So I was like, right, let's hack that. Let's go travel around the world, find these people and just hang out with them all the time. And, as cheesy as it is, like, it appears to have worked really, really well. Along with that, if you read a book a week, then you're like the top CEOs or whatever crap. Again, it won't guarantee success, but if you do it, it's kind of useful and helpful and beneficial.
I love the intention behind your decisions and your actions, and assuming that our listeners aren't going to sit there and listen to 2 books a week. Like, if you could narrow that list of 104 down to your top 3, could you do that?
Ooh, that's really interesting. So definitely one of the top books, Essentialism by Greg McKeown. It kind of talks about simplifying life. And actually that is one of the keys to life. Our issue is not having not enough stuff and needing more stuff. Our issue is actually cutting out the crap. And, I say this to clients as well. Your issue probably isn't not enough knowledge. It's just getting rid of all the excess that you just don't need, all the noise, and just focus in on the 2 things that you need to do every day. Do those, you'll get to your goal. So Essentialism for sure. There's Mindset by Carol Dweck, which is, it's kind of like the Bible of personal development. It talks about the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. And even if you think you've got a growth mindset, you may not in different areas of life. So definitely worthwhile. And then a third one, this is a book I recommend to all my clients, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yep.
It's a classic. I say so many things these days and they've recently read it because I sent it to them and they say, oh, that's from Atomic Habits. And I'm like, yeah, it is, but it's so like integrated into the way I live and think that it's just a part of my life. So yeah, those 3 books will change your life for sure.
It's an amazing book, and like, hats off to James Clear, because he wrote is essentially what it means to be always better than yesterday. Like, he's written a book that I no longer need to write now, so fair play to him. But I would just love to know, what does the phrase always better than yesterday mean to you?
It's literally exactly that. Do something new that helps you grow or improve every day, and your life will improve. And if you don't know what to do, then learn something new. Boom. Learn Portuguese. Boom. Read a new book. These are like the easiest things to do. You don't need to think, you don't need to plan, you don't need to like have some strategy for 25 years. It's just like, read a book, see what happens, do a course, pick something on the internet. There's infinite things. So in the most fundamental sense, doing something, getting better every day is life. If you're not doing that, to me, you're not living life. And then in a very practical sense, just start learning stuff.
Yeah, love that. And I think the funny thing is that people will look and go, oh, he's just read 104 books in a year, and they'll see it as that's the activity. Whereas the nature of Atomic Habits is that they'll just burst up in the other areas of your life. So that discipline of focus and learning that you're applying to that one habit of simply reading a book, 2 books a week, will have a ripple effect on the rest of your life, I imagine.
Hugely. And exactly that, it's not necessarily the reading, because it got to a point where I was reading for the sake of hitting a goal. So it was not the point of it, but by doing that, you gain inspiration, you gain ideas, you've got this discipline, you've got this focus, you've got this organization to get that much time in to read. So everything else, as you say, just gets better. And yeah, please don't anyone read 104 books. I promise you it's pointless. But starting a new book tomorrow, one of the 3 that I mentioned, is a perfect place to go. 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day.
Love that. I've brought you on as a guest today because I know that you will inspire my listeners, but who inspires you?
That's a good question. People have asked me before what who my heroes are and stuff, and I don't really have an individual person, because people have so many different facets, good and bad. And I think anyone who appears to be all good, you haven't got a true picture of them. So
yes.
I read a hell of a lot of autobiographies, obviously part of the stupid reading thing. So all these kind of crazy entrepreneurs, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. I'm reading the Netflix kind of origin story. I read Twitter recently. All these people are, you know, amazing, and they all inspire me. So I really don't have a single person, because I think that would, you know, not do justice to the full picture. But just reading these books and seeing what people kind of manage and overcome. And so Shoe Dog, Phil King, the stuff that he overcame in his journey to build Nike, like, wow. And that aspect of him, you know, he inspires me to the next level. But he's not I don't have him on my wall. He's not my only person. But I mean, I don't have an individual, but all of these kind of big entrepreneur CEO guys, I love that kind of stuff.
And it goes hand in hand with what you said about hacking the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, because people don't realize that that's what a book is. It's you're getting mentorship from these people without having the expensive interaction with them. And that's really powerful. How can our audience, how can our listeners and our viewers connect with you, find out more about the work that you do?
Yeah, for sure. So my website is dремil.com. There's links to various things there, a few blog posts, stuff like that. But Instagram is Project Goliath. Check me out on there. I am active with stories and things. I don't have many posts, but I am there.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for your time out of your day coming in to join with the Always Better Than Yesterday community. And I'd just love for you to leave us with a final thought from your good self.
Oh, the pressure. Oh, man. This wasn't in the brief, or maybe it was and I didn't read it. Yeah, just begin, just start. You can get overwhelmed by, I need to read 104 books. I need to leave my perfectly stable career. I need to, you know, achieve these crazy goals. I'm too afraid to even do anything. Just start. Define the first step. And then during that first step, you can define the next step. And that's literally all you need to do. And that's what I say to my clients. And that's what, and again, cheesy quote is like, every journey starts with a single step or whatever. So yeah, that's definitely a starting point.
My friend, I've loved the conversation. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you so much, man. Great to be on.